All right. So again, welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share just a quick disclaimer from the Arc of Lehigh and Northampton counties. All right, so welcome. This is PA Treasury Savings Program webinar. Today is June 16, 2021, hosted by the Arc of Lehigh and Northampton counties, and welcoming Mrs. Kelly Davis, Outreach Specialist from the PA Department of Treasury for this evening's webinar. Just a quick disclaimer from the Arc of Lehigh and Northampton counties. The Arc of Lehigh and Northampton counties Advocacy Department does not employ lawyers nor provide legal advice. This training or any other provided by the ARC's Advocacy Department does not constitute or imply endorsement, recommendation, or favoring of the providing party or any employees or contractors acting on its behalf. This webinar is being provided for educational and informative purposes only. All right. So at this point, I'm going to again welcome our presenter, Mrs. Kelly Davis. So the Zoom is yours. Thank you for coming out this evening.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we are going to talk today about the programs that Treasury, Pennsylvania Treasury offers. You can see there's kind of along the bottom of your screen. We're going to touch upon most of those, or all of them, I should say, focusing primarily on the Able account. All right, so again, I'm Kelly Davis. We're going to be discussing all the programs here that Treasury offers. You can see them across the bottom. The main focus will be the Pennsylvania Able program. So the programs that we do have are the Pennsylvania 529 plan, which allows you a tax-advantaged way to save and pay for future education expenses. We also have Keystone Scholars program, which provides $100 for newborns to be used for qualified higher education expenses. And then lastly, or actually we're going to do this one first because it's the most important, is the Pennsylvania Able Savings Program. And it's a tax advantage way to save and pay for disability related expenses. So again, Able will be the first one. And the Able program. So what is Able? Able an Able account is a savings and investment product for people with disabilities to be used for qualified disability related expenses. Okay, so one of the most significant features of an Able account is that the funds in the account are not counted when determining eligibility for federal means tested benefits. And there are some limitations for supplemental security income, so your SSI. So through Able, for the first time, many individuals and their families can save for a more secure future and have the ability to control your own funds, also giving a lot of great federal and state tax advantages. So what is an Able account? Able stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. Able was signed into federal law by President Obama in 2014, and that enabled the states to create their own Able accounts, offering more states or more state tax advantages. PA Able Savings Program was passed by the House and Senate and signed into law by Governor Wolf in April 2016. Of course, it took some time for it to become live, and so it went live in April of 2017. So our program's a few years old now, and Able program is one of the fastest growing in the country here in Pennsylvania. We have one of the largest assets in the country, as well as the most accounts. So we're very proud of that fact as well. All right, so an Able account, you can save while maintaining your government benefits. The federal law says that assets in an Able account and qualified withdrawals from an account are not counted in any federal means tested benefits, with that limitation for SSI. Also, PA Able assets are not counted against Pennsylvania needs-based benefits, and those are having to do with disability, health, and student financial aid. It's extremely important because without Able, it's very limited to how much individuals with disabilities could save and still receive those government benefits. So typically an SSI recipient could only save about $2,000 in assets without jeopardizing your benefits. Now with the Pennsylvania Able account, you can actually save your $2,000 plus in your Able account an additional $100,000. So $100,000 obviously can make a huge difference. And this gives a person the ability to save for a car, a house, or just your everyday living expenses. If you happen to go above that $100,000 threshold, then your SSI benefits will be suspended, but they won't be terminated. And your medical assistance will continue throughout that entire time. So able account owners who don't receive SSI can save more than $500,000 in your able account. All right. So individuals can have one able account nationwide. You can see the information from other states, but Pennsylvania able law has several PA specific benefits. These are only available to Pennsylvania residents, so Pennsylvanians, if they use the Pennsylvania able program. We do want to note that just be careful what you're looking at. Some able programs use confusing advertisements and marketing initiatives that may mislead you to believe that they represent Pennsylvania able. If you open one of those non-PA able accounts, you may be missing out on some of the crucial benefits and tax benefits that we offer. So remember to always look for the able logo, which you can of course see on your right-hand side on the screen, and be sure to visit our website at paable.gov for the most up-to-date information. And if you're from a disability organization or support group, you can also order brochures, have webinars for your group, things along those lines as well. So there we go. Contributions to a PA able account are eligible for both state and federal tax benefits. So contributions can be deducted from your state taxable income of up to $15,000 per person per year. Only contributions to a Pennsylvania able account qualify for the state tax deduction. Now, account owners 18 years of age or older may also be eligible for federal credit up to $2,000 for contributions to their able account if they are either not a full-time student and they have not claimed as a dependent on another person's return. There's also, there is no state or federal income tax on able account earnings while funds are in the account or when they're withdrawn if used for qualified disability expenses. So in state court proceedings, accounts are not subject to attachment of levy by creditors of the eligible individual or of the contributor. Okay. I think we have it down now. So we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about this, but I just wanted to mention some of the highlights now. Able accounts with a balance over 100,000 will impact your SSI benefits. Able account assets are not subject to Medicaid or medical assistance for payment to Department of Human Services. I'll refer to them probably as DHS a lot here, but you do not have to have the repayment as long as the account owner is living. After that person passes away, their assets do become part of their estate. So DHS essentially can make a claim under certain circumstances there. These rules are the same whether or not somebody has an able account. So people are not penalized simply for having this able account, just kind of letting you know the process of how that goes. Contributions made as a gift for eligible individuals are made directly to the able account. So under normal SSI rules, gifts impact your eligibility. So if somebody were to give an SSI recipient some money for groceries and put that money into a personal checking account, technically, if it was over that amount, it could jeopardize your benefits, your SSI benefits. But if you put that money directly into an able account, it will not do that. So that is something definitely to pay attention to and be aware of as well. All right, so we know what an able account is, the beginning parts at least. So who is eligible? There are two aspects that go into really the eligibility. One of them being that the onset of the disability must be prior to the individual's 26th birthday. So our kind of generic example that we always give, if there was a brain injury due to like an automobile accident and that happened at age 13, you could have an account. If you were born with a disability, you could have an account. If that same automobile accident I just referred to happens, say, on your 34th birthday, unfortunately, you could not have an account. So you need to make sure that the disability must occur before the individual's 26th birthday. And I will state that there is a lot of legislation. There's legislation currently pending that's being heavily discussed, and we're really cheering it on that does get passed. And what that is going to do is allow this to extend and go up to age 46. So I know there's a lot of push for that, and there's a lot of good feedback that we're getting. So we're really hoping that this disability starting prior to age 26 will be expanded upon, I guess I could say. Also, the second one is that if an individual is eligible to receive Social Security income or Social Security disability insurance. So if they can receive SSI or SSDI, then they qualify for an Able account. You don't have to be receiving them, simply eligible for them. And we do have, you can kind of see here, are 1 and 2, but there is a little, can't make it too easy, a little subset with that, where you can self-certify if you meet certain criteria. And so in the next screen, we will discuss what that means. And the self-certification really is just that. The person with a disability must have a written disability-related diagnosis from a physician who meets with the Social Security Administration criteria. So just the normal doctor that you're usually seeing, as long as they participate and work with SSA, then you can use that doctor. And all this letter is going to say is that the person has a physical or mental impairment that results in marked and severe functional limitation and is expected to last for 12 consecutive months or result in death. So in the enrollment process, there is a checkbox to indicate that you are self-certifying and that those self-certifications are met. We here do not need that doctor's note. We will never ask for that when enrolling. That's basically for you. You keep that for your records. And if you're asked to provide one, say if you were audited or somebody needs that for some reason, you'd be able to provide that at that point. But we here will never ask for that information. So the easiest way that most people tend to enroll is really online. If you go to our website, that trusted website at paable.gov, and you click on enroll. And this completing process takes approximately 15 minutes. In Pennsylvania, we also have the option here that you can fill it out with a paper application. To do that, you would just print out the form from online, or you can call our customer service line. They are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and you can request a paper application be sent to you that way as well. So what's interesting with Able accounts is the unique features for account control. So if the person with the disability is 18 years of age or older and has the legal capacity to contract, the federal law requires them to open accounts for themselves. Now, if the person with the disability is younger than 18 or they lack that legal capacity to contract, then someone else can open that account for them, even though the person with the disability remains the account owner. So that person will always be the account owner. So this person that is opening the account is considered the authorized individual. This person is either a fiduciary and must administer the account for the benefit of the account owner. And federal regulations limits who can be that authorized individual. And that's limited to strictly the parent, guardian, or person with power of attorney. Pennsylvania specifically allows representative payees to open accounts on behalf of the individual with the disability. And you can see all of that on our website, of course. So when the account owner opens the account, you can fill out a form and have an authorized agent to help manage your account if you wish. So if you have the legal capacity to contract, you would be the account owner, and you can have simply an authorized agent, maybe a parent, a friend, sibling, whomever you'd like, and they would be able to have access to your account. You choose how much access they are allowed to have. So we do have 4 different levels that you can choose from, and you can see that they range from basic information to being able to do just about everything the account owner can do. So it's really up to the account owner on who has access and how much access they are actually granted. So that is important. You want to make sure that that person is somebody you trust and that that person is somebody that will look out for your best interest. So now we're going to discuss about how to make contributions into the account. There's many ways to make contributions. Of course, paper check, money orders, electronic transfer. So you can log into your account once that's created and say, hey, I got extra money in my account, or I have a 3-pay month. I got my income return. I want to make a transfer. You can do that at any time. Maybe you want to do it systematically, set it up out of your paycheck or directly drafted from your checking or savings account. Those are my personal favorites because then you know they're happening automatically rather than potentially not having that money there. It's really what's affordable and what's best for you. If you receive SSI or SSDI monthly benefits, you can direct those payments into your Able account as a direct deposit as well. We just want to note that you cannot direct deposit your SSI or SSDI benefit payment if you have a representative payee. So for more information, we do recommend that you contact ssa.gov for that more information. The rule of thumb here is that each contribution must be at least $25, and the federal law limits the amount that can be contributed annually. So the amount that you can have in your account, contributions into that, is maxed out at $15,000 per year, and that includes all sources. So anyone can contribute to the account. It just needs to provide information identifying the account and their contribution. So we do have something called YouGift, which is a free online service that allows family and friends to make those contributions as well. Each Able account has a unique code that you can share, and it's very simple to enroll. Another way to contribute is to roll over your 529 college savings program, which we'll talk about later, into an Able account. And that would still count towards your $15,000 limit. And contributions to Able are considered complete gifts. So the account owner is in complete control of that money. So you want to make sure that that is somebody that you trust and that is looking out for your best interest. A slide that I hope we can get rid of soon, discussing COVID. So with COVID, unfortunately, we need to talk about all these extra payments that are coming in and how that can affect everything. So the government stimulus payments during COVID can be deposited into Able accounts. These stimulus payments must either be spent or deposited into an Able account within 12 months. Otherwise, these funds will count as assets and could reduce your benefits. Unemployment payments, including the extra $600 or $300 per week, are counted as unearned income for SSI. And by saving either these stimulus payments or these unemployment funds, they will not count as assets in the future and will not be counted towards SSI limit of that $2,000 that you can have. So hopefully, again, we do not have to discuss that moving forward, but just again, note that your stimulus payments, they must be either spent or deposited into an Able account within 12 months, or they will become part of an asset. So just make sure, I know there's talk of a fourth one coming around. So if that does in fact pass, make sure that you follow those limit or those stipulations. And again, of course, all of this is available online for you. Something else we have is the Able to Work Act, which adds some flexibility for some account owners who are still working, allowing you to contribute more than that annual limit of $15,000. So account owners who do not make contributions to either a deferred compensation, so a 401k plan, an annuity contract, or a deferred compensation plan during a tax year can contribute above that $15,000 limit by whichever is less. So the amount of the compensation or the federal poverty level for this prior year. So the most that somebody could contribute if they're working would be $27,760. And that would be, again, if somebody is not contributing into defined compensation, annuity, or deferred comp programs. Any contribution above $15,000 may be made only by the account owner. So at $15,000, that shuts off and only the account owner can make those contributions. So if all of us today on this webinar were contributing into Joe's Able account, once we as a group have reached that $15,000 threshold, Joe is the only person that can contribute above that level for the rest of the calendar year, and only if he meets those criteria. Once that calendar year is over, so January 1 of 2022, we can all start again contributing for Joe. So Able account, how the money is invested is really up to you. We have 7 different investment options, 6 asset allocation options, and a checking account option, which I'll talk about all of those on the next slide, the checking account option and specifics. You can direct your investments to just one of these or a combination of all of these. You can see they range from aggressive to conservative, and they are from firms you've probably heard of, like BlackRock, Sallie Mae, and of course, Vanguard right here in PA. And also note on the chart that there is an asset-based fee. Any investment that's out there is going to have an asset-based fee. This is shown as an annual percentage, but it's actually taken out of the accounts on the daily return. So it's very minuscule and you probably won't even notice it, to be completely honest. You can move funds amongst the options twice in a calendar year. So asset reallocation twice per calendar year. And you can find more information on our frequently asked question, our FAQ page, into each account strategy. So if you wanted to dive more into the moderate option, you could Click on that and it'll give you the underlying funds, how the performance has been, things along those. So now we're going to talk real quick about the checking account options. So it's offered by Fifth Third Bank. Account owners enroll on the Able checking via our website, so paable.gov, or on the paper application, just like they would with any other investment. The checking account is FDIC insured and insured with the up to $250,000 limit, which of course would take quite a while, but you're able to put in that much, and it comes with a free debit card. Using your card at ATMs is free if it's used in network, or of course, out of network, there's a $2.75 charge. The amount that you can use daily at your ATM is $800. And your point of sale, so just purchasing something right there on the spot, is limited to $5,000. You can change those and adjust those either up or down by calling Fifth Third Bank. That's just kind of the standard what is set for everybody. If you wanted to order checks, you can absolutely do that. There is a $6 fee for 25 checks in order if you wanted to purchase those. And if you have the checking account, then there is a $2 per month fee associated with that. But that fee is completely waived if you have your statement sent electronically. So I always recommend everyone go green, save some paper, save some trees, and have it emailed to you. You can always print it off yourself. You can call customer service and somebody can send that out to you, no problem. And then that way you're saving yourself a little bit of money, $2 per month, that adds up. And so again, if you have your statement sent electronically, or you have an average monthly balance of $250 or more. And also what's nice is that there's no overdraft or return payments here. So it's very affordable. It's very flexible for everybody too. So again, just to reiterate some of the fees, just so we're extremely transparent, there's an account maintenance fee that applies regardless of the options you choose. It just varies on which option. Then there's a $5 per month if you receive your information by mail, and it's lowered to $3.75 if you go green. So go green, save yourself money, and get the lower fee. And the asset-based fees are determined based on, again, which portfolio or which options you choose that will determine those fees for you as well. So you can put money in any way you want. So how can you take money out? That's what we need to know, huh? So even if you don't have the checking account option, you can make a withdrawal from your investment options. And you would do this by logging onto your account online, by calling the dedicated call center, or you can fill out a form that we have available on our website. If you have the checking account option, obviously there's a little more flexibility. You can use your debit card, write a check, or make an ATM cash withdrawal. Totally up to you, whatever is easiest for you, but just know you do have a few options there. So we've talked about the Able account. We know how to put money in, we know how to take money out, but what can it be used for? Really, the answer is anything. It's your money and you can use it for whatever you want. But if you want to enjoy the benefits and protections of the Able law, it needs to be for qualified disability-related expenses. So federal law actually lists these 11 categories that you can see here on your slide here, and they include things like education, prevention and wellness, transportation. The proposed IRS regulation also lists basic living expenses, and that's very important. These are not limited to expenses that are medically necessary, which is huge. So nor do they need to be for the sole benefit of the person with a disability. So for an example, what that means is a computer. If a computer was purchased, then anyone in the household would be able to utilize that computer. It's not just for the benefit of the person with a disability, but rather it was used in conjunction with the person. So bottom line is that qualified disability expenses are very broad. It's up to the account owner to make decisions on what exactly is qualified. The best thing to do is always keep receipts of the purchase for your records. We here at Treasury, again, do not need those receipts. That's only if you ever get audited by the IRS. They see you are purchasing that house and a car every year, they're going to question you. So you want to just have your receipts kind of available and ready for that as well. So why is the withdrawals qualified versus non-qualified important? It's really for the tax consequences. So withdrawals used to pay for qualified expenses incur no federal or state tax at all. Withdrawals used for non-qualified expenses are subject to income taxes. So you would pay tax on the earnings, both state and federal, as well as a 10% federal penalty. So you want to make sure that they are qualifying within one of those 11 categories, or that it falls within basic living expenses. And I will tell you, it's extremely broad. It's not something that typically comes up very often. We have somebody that wanted to go to Disney World, no problem, because that fell in one of those 11 categories: prevention and wellness, socialization. You're able to use your money essentially to pay for that. The fact that the transportation to get there, you're able to use your money for that. The second real reason is that consequences for federal means tested benefits. Withdrawals for non-qualified expenses will be counted in determining your eligibility. So again, this is particularly important for those SSI recipients. If they make a non-qualified withdrawal and they don't use their money the same month it's withdrawn, it can affect your benefits. So that's very important. You really need to pay attention to the timing. So who gets to decide if an expense is qualified or not? It's really up to you, the account owner. The judgment may be subject to an after the fact review. Again, IRS has the right to audit any type of account that's out there. We haven't heard much of that at all. They're kind of leaving them alone and looking at them and thinking they fall within one of these 11 categories, the expenditures, and they also fall within the stipulation of basic living expenses, which is pretty much everything. So I'm going to talk about some of those rules for people with SSI. SSI recipients is very important. Account values over $100,000 counted as an asset. So SSI benefits would be suspended, but they would not be terminated. And the person would not have to reapply. It's just simply they would be frozen for a little bit, suspended, and then it's still, once you kind of pay down on that, then you're able to use your Able account then again. This doesn't impact at all your medical assistance eligibility at all. And contributions directly into an Able account do not affect SSI benefits. So if you put those funds directly into Able, you have no problems. SSI recipients are required to tell SSA anything that would impact their benefits and state Able agency. So again, if you have somebody that is inheriting a ton of money, that could impact their benefits, and you need to make SSA aware of the inheritance and the money that could impact them. So every month, we here at Treasury have to report to SSA everything about accounts. So we have to include the balances and every withdrawal. So that's where the auditing could come into play. But if they see an excessive amount of withdrawals for obscene amounts, you could be audited. It's something we don't see much of at all. We've actually never really seen any of it. There we go. So important details as it pertains to housing for these SSI recipients. Housing is a qualified disability expense. For people on SSI, you do need to pay very, very close attention to timing. Timing is everything. So if you use the money the same month, calendar month, to pay rent, it will not affect your benefits. So you want to make sure that you are withdrawing and utilizing during the same month. So if you take money out in one month and pay the rent for a different month, that can affect your benefits. So I know a lot of rents, mortgages, things like that are due on the first of the month. It may behoove you to kind of prepay or talk with your realtor or realtor, I just bought a house, so that's on my mind. Talk with your landlord or your mortgage company and discuss maybe that it might be slightly late, but it'll always be in prior to the late time where you may be charged extra. And just explain the situation, and you should be good with that. So non-qualified withdrawals are similar. As long as the money is withdrawn in the same month, there's no impact on your SSI benefits, but there's still consequences, tax consequences that I mentioned just a minute ago. So for SSI purposes, housing expenses are broader than just rent and mortgage. They include things like just heating, sewer fees, garbage removal, electricity, of course. So you want to keep in mind those when you receive SSI to help somebody out. So you want to make sure that you are actually paying for that. So again, housing expenses, you can use them for more than just your mortgage payment, your rental payment. You can use those for your normal sewer, water, gas, rent, things like that, your taxes, absolutely. Here we go. So Pennsylvania is more generous than many states because we do not make a claim against the Able account while the person is still alive. But after the person passes away, then the Able account merges with other assets and creates in the estate. So like your house, your car, things like that. DHS, Department of Human Services, can make a claim just as they would when the person does not have an Able account. So again, just to highlight, the person's not penalized for having this Able account at all. All outstanding disability expenses are paid first before going over to DHS. And at that point, once it's turned over, then they can make a claim. These expenditures include medical or burial expenses, legal fees, things like that can impact and kind of happen after somebody passes away. Pennsylvania is even more generous as a state because we do not claim only funds spent after the person after the person is the age of 55. So if somebody started receiving benefits in kindergarten and they passed away at the age of 53, then the state wouldn't make a claim against their estate at all. But if that same person, started receiving benefits in kindergarten, but that person dies or passes away at the age of 56, the state could make a claim against their estate, but only seeking repayment for the services provided after the age of 55. And those funds can only be used for nursing facility services, home and community-based services, related hospital and prescription drug services. And repayment is postponed if there is either a surviving spouse, a child under the age of 21, or a child of any age who is either blind or disabled. So I know I went through a lot of information there on the Able program. So now we're going to look briefly at some of the other programs which we offer here at Treasury, just to kind of highlight some of these that we have to give you an all-encompassing savings of what Treasury offers. So Keystone Scholars is really here for those because it's hard to get started saving, which is why Keystone Scholars was created. It's for every baby born to a Pennsylvania resident. So if a baby is adopted to a Pennsylvania resident, that qualifies as well. The purpose is really to help new moms and dads start saving for their child's education as early as possible, because savings does add up over time. Saving early can help children get off to a good start, and research supports the value of these early child savings accounts benefit children and overall community too. So a $100 get started deposit in your child's name for higher education is what this is. It's automatic. Every baby born or adopted qualifies at birth. It's easy. You can always go online and view your child's balance at any time. And the $100 is going to grow for at least 18 years. So the money in there is going to continue to grow. It's not going to be valued at more than $100 while in there because it's invested internally with Treasury. So from the age of 18 to 29, your child can use the money for higher education costs to pursue the path for the future they choose. These expenses could include tuition, fees, books, even vocational or technical schools, community schools, four-year universities. And we want to note that you cannot actually add additional money into your Keystone Scholar account. If you wanted to start contributing and saving for your child, you would want to do that with the 529 plan. And you can do that and link the two together so that you can keep track of both of those. So you can start a 529 plan for as little as $10. And again, we're going to discuss that here in a few slides once I kind of get through the Keystone Scholars program and our savings pledge, and then we'll talk about our other big program, 529. The website that you would visit is pa529.com/keystone, and you use information directly from your child's birth certificate. That number in the bottom right-hand corner is very important, so you'll need to utilize that. So we here at Treasury recommend that you pre-register, and then you can access your account online. And what happens is that we send a letter out from Treasury about 4 to 5 months after the baby is born, and just welcoming their child and making you aware, hey, you have this $100 in your child's name ready to save for education, and making you just aware and kind of bringing it again to the forefront that it is important and it is something to consider and start saving for. So college is expensive, so that's why we really have the Keystone Scholars. I know it's expensive to have a baby, It is one of those things that you need to prepare and start thinking about as soon as the child is born. How are we going to pay for their education later down the road? So one of those ways in which you can do that is with the PA Savings Pledge that we offer. So we have actually found a fun way for families to save each month through a partnership with an organization called Fund My Future. And they're based out of Western Pennsylvania, out in Pittsburgh. And what they're doing is encouraging and incentivizing families to save more frequently and further, and of course, regularly. So all you're doing is pledging to save for your child. You're going to say, I want to pledge for my child to save some money, and put your money into the account. As long as there are no withdrawals taken, you're entered to win. What happens is you're entered to win money that you essentially get yourself. So Fund My Future is a prize-linked savings program. So it's available to all families across Pennsylvania. It started out just in Allegheny County, again, Pittsburgh, but now it's available to everyone in Pennsylvania. And it is from the age of birth to the age of 18. You are provided a raffle ticket, and there's monthly incentives for families to make deposits into your accounts. And then it draws from a prize pool of $5,000 each month. And I actually think that has been increased. So half of this slide is incorrect. It has increased to $8,000 per month. So 5 people will receive $1,000, and the rest of the people will receive $50. So it's a lot of money up for grabs each and every month. Any adult who lives in Pennsylvania can enroll. So you open either a PA 529 account and make your contributions in there. Our minimum is $10, or you can open up a checking or savings account for your child. As long as you're making contributions in there and not making any withdrawals, then you're registered to win. If you have more than one child, you do not have to register more than once. You would simply specify how much you intend on saving each month for your child and signing up all at once. All right, so now we're going to move on to the 529 plan. And I know I'm going through a lot of information fast. I just looked at the clock here and just want to talk really quick about why people choose 529 plans. It's really for the tax advantages. Very similar to the Able account is that there's a state tax deduction. So all the money you contribute up to $15,000 a year, you can write off of your state income taxes. The earnings grow state and federally tax deferred and state and federally tax free when used for qualified education expenses. There's no income or age restrictions. They're not counted on Pennsylvania financial aid application. In fact, if you're a PA resident putting into the Pennsylvania 529, it's not counted at all. If you're a PA resident putting into an out-of-state 529, it will be counted. It's very little. They only look at about 6% of your 529 plan, so they don't look at it in its entirety, but 6% still is a savings for you. And then we do have 2 free reward programs down at the bottom, which help accelerate your earning potential that goes directly into the account. Sage Scholars, the one furthest on your right, is very similar to frequent flyer miles. The more money you're putting in, the more money that's matched. The real big thing here with Sage Scholars is that the schools have to be one of the participating private universities. So these include Lehigh, Duquesne, Villanova, King's College, just to give you kind of sporadically all across Mercyhurst. Now we got the whole state covered with some private, but there's over 285 of those in the country. I believe 80 of those are right here in Pennsylvania. So a lot of different ways in which you can save and the advantages of why people choose these. If you did a very quick Google search of 529 plans, you'll find a lot of information out there. What happens is every state has the ability to have one. We here in Pennsylvania have 2. We have the Guaranteed Savings Plan, which is called used to be called the TAP program. What it's doing is keeping pace with tuition inflation, and it can be used both in-state and out-of-state. It's a big misconception that we have that you have to utilize them right here in Pennsylvania, and you simply don't. You can use them anywhere. We have different levels that you can choose from because you do have to designate a tuition level when you sign up, but rest assured and know that you're not locked into that. You can change that at any time, and there is a lot of flexibility with that. We have the other program, the investment program. This one's a little bit more normal, I guess I should say, in that it is just based on the ups and downs of the market. It is invested within Vanguard, And we are considered one of the best in class now. We're only one of three plans that have experienced an upgrade from neutral to silver in just 2 years. So we've increasingly gotten better over the past few years, which is great. The program's one of the best. We're one of the 14 top ranked in the country. So it really is just personal preference, the tax advantages, things like that, of why you would choose this plan versus others. And just again, no, it's very affordable, minimum $10 to open either type of account. With 529 plans, you can use them for a lot of different things, which is great. The rule of thumb is that if it's mandatory by the university, then you're able to use your money there. So those things include on-campus housing, books, tuition, off-campus housing, computers, special need expenses. And recently, things that have been added are that you can now use these for private education for K through 12. This is up to $10,000 per year. You can use these for apprenticeship programs. And something interesting is that if you took a loan out in 2019, 20, or 21, and moving forward, then you can actually use this to pay on your loans. And that is a lifetime limit of $10,000. So some people are putting money in here in hopes to pay back their loans with the interest and have a little bit more earnings. So that's definitely something to consider as well. Now, I know I've talked a lot of big money, a lot of information here, but what I want to hit home is that saving a little bit does add up over time. I know when you think about each month putting $25 away, you're like, that's going to mean nothing to me. But saving $25 per month for 18 years can land you about $10,000. That's $10,000 less than what you'll have to borrow later and pay back later, of course. So saving just a little bit each month, it does add up, and we encourage you to do so. Definitely don't wait and say, I'm not going to save anything. It's not going to have an impact. $10,000 is going to be impactful, and it's going to help you out in the long run. So I know I went over a lot of information. Again, the PowerPoint will be sent out to you, the slides, so you'll have that. It is recorded. And I'll go ahead now and thank you guys for participating, answer some questions then, and turn it on over.
Thanks so much, Kelly. We really appreciate you going through this information. It was a lot, but I'm sure we're going to have a lot of good questions coming through. So thank you again.